Kia ora. Hi, I'm Che Vincent Bonsai. Today I'm looking at Kowhai. This will be part of the New Zealand Native Plants for Bonsai series. Kowhai are a widely varied beast. This one is, I'm not sure if it's a selection or a species. In the nursery trade it's known as Dragon's Gold. I think it comes from one of our offshore islands. It is basically a large sort of bush or small tree, and it grows on a 90-degree angle. So every shoot coming off a straight shoot like this will be 90 degrees. So very sort of almost cruciform. So any form, any shape that you can see in this tree has been made with wire. Now it's reasonably flexible, so it can be wired. Now before I get into this tree, I want to show you what I mean by widely and, well, wildly varied. This one here, hang on a minute. Most of our species, especially when they're young, these Sophora, Kowhai, most of them grow on a hexagonal zigzag sort of branch angling. This one is it's either a juvenile macrophylla. It's from a seedling. It's probably about 3-4 years old. And this one is a prostrate form. So it's got a very, very tight zigzag. I'll show you some other cool ones later on. This one here, oops. This is a selection which I think was in the nursery trade maybe 20-30 years back. So I saw it in someone's garden and thought it looked quite good. It's got a reasonably straight, just a gentle zigzag, and a nice tight little bipinnate, well, leaflet. It flowers beautifully, this one. And then we have ones like this, which, now this one I'm developing as a, well, more like a, how would you say it? Like you would grow a weeping willow or something like that, which is, so I'm basically going to grow it to show off these fine sort of hanging branchlets and hopefully flowers. Hasn't flowered yet, this one. So I'm looking for a gnarly big old stump, and then just a gentle, yeah, a nicely formed soft canopy. It's looking pretty cool. I've got 2 of these. They're about 12 years old. They're getting a decent trunk on them now. So, back to the Dragon's Gold. This has already been cut back once this year. This will be its second cut back. Sometimes I do it 3 times in a year. It's in a reasonable amount of soil. It's got a bit of an gnarly old trunk happening. Got a stack of them. They're all over there lying on their side because I can't stand them up. So really I'm just looking for, I guess, pad development. I'm leaving some growth down the bottom because that's getting a bit weak down here, and I'm just going to reduce the top heaps. Anything that's really vertical, anything that's getting back in the way of the pot. So it's got a nice tier here. Got little flower buds starting to appear on it, so it flowers sort of mid-winter. This one, it's a bit earlier than the other ones. So I'm looking for some separation between this pad here and this one here, so I'm going to cut this piece here right back in. There you go, that's better. So I've got 1, 2, 3, this one's forming, all down through there. I'll grab another one. When I was in Japan, in Shikoku, big island in the south, I hung out on a nursery down there. Did some bonsai with those guys, with Koji, who's a cool dude. And in his collection in the greenhouse, or shade house, he had a Sophora of some form, a Kowhai, and I didn't even get a photo of it. I was just kicking myself ever since. I might have to give him a yell and see if he can give me a photo of it. I'm assuming it was a New Zealand Kowhai. I'm not sure that there are Kowhai anywhere else in the world. There might be. But it was a small, very tight, really nice, like we actually looked like a real bonsai rather than a open kind of spindly tree. I was really impressed. But I didn't get a photo. Again, I'll leave some growth at the bottom here. Got this little branch here winding through it, which I'm actually thinking I don't really need. I might take it back up to the top and just leave it as a top. There you go. So all these curls and wiggles and wobbles are all done with wire. So this species, this selection, Dragon's Gold, is an easy, fast-growing bonsai to create. I haven't made any more since these ones because I think there are nicer trees to work with actually. They take really easily from cuttings, as do actually most of the Kowhai I've found are pretty good with cuttings. So while this is a really cool tree and it's already 15, 16 years old, I haven't made any since in this species, in this selection, Dragon's Gold, because I think there are better selections out there, like this one here. Hang on, reset shit. This is a selection which I took out of a friend's garden, just took some cuttings. Grows very rarely from cuttings. This is a, geez, I think it's a 3-year-old cutting. Here's a even younger one. It's only from probably last year's cutting. And this is what they look like when you grow them for say 5 years and keep cutting them back. This one's just had a big chop back and it's just flushing again. Like I had chopped it back. It wasn't even like 2 weeks ago and it's already pushing out these new shoots. So it looks pretty hacked and horrible, but that's how you create a bonsai. So I'm going to have a look at these other ones and try and get some movement into them, or decide which trunk or branch I want to go forward with, whether I want them to be a formal kind of tree or not. Try and find the top, which looks like that might be quite a good top. So I'll just start straight away by banging that piece there straight off. Again, perfect cuttings. Now you can see here already all the growth's way out here. That's not where I want it. So it's got really nice branches set up. And this is pretty much obviously the front because it's all open to the side. Actually going to take it right back in there and right back in here. and here. Here, 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 and there. Still feels a little bit tall somehow, but I think we can get away with that. Actually, I might make that there at the top. Like that. How's that for a quick and brutal chop? Try some of these smaller ones, and I am going to see if I can make them more interesting shape. Just give me a second. Okay, so I've got a nice first branch on this side. And I'm going to keep this fairly loose because I really don't want to scar up the bark. It's got quite a thin bark. So I'm going to bend it over to this side. And then as I come back over here, I'm going to just put some pressure on the stem. Just sort of supporting it here because they do split open sometimes. Just sort of break right down the crotch there. Now I quite like to, if I can, twist it around a bit. So it's going to go back to the back here and then come forward again. And I have to figure out which is my leader. Could be that one, but I think I'll go a bit higher. So forward again. Something quite cool. Let's get a little bit more, exaggerate it a bit more. I really want to pull this one. I want to get this over there, really. So I'm going to try and might twist it around a bit. Just wind the wire up to this one here. I think it's going to be my top. So I can take that out. Now I'm going to leave a little bit of a stem there like that. It won't grow new shoots because it's in the internode. What it means I can do is I can actually tie this shoot here to it, like that. And hopefully, yeah, it's got a little bit of a bow there, but it should work. Push that back a bit, and that makes that line better. So I'll just go back over it. So I want my angles to get sort of from larger to smaller, like this. Which is actually just, in this case, accentuating the natural zigzag movement of the Kowhai anyway. Actually twist it around to get a bit more interesting form, and that should actually eventually make the bark kind of gently spiral up as well. Okay, somehow I've lost something there. Right. There we go. Now I will shorten this back, but I'd like to, I'll take it back to here. I'll take that bottom one off. I'm hoping I'll get some more shoots here. I've got these two, which is quite good. Okay, that's cool. So go from something like this to something like this, and I need to wire these down a bit, and then to here. So as I said, this selection is a prolific flowerer. I've got a video I can show you of one which I grew and gave to my son for my grandson's placenta tree. It's absolutely covered in flowers. You can see little flower buds starting to set up here and there on this one. Now I'm going to put a big heavy chunk of wire on this one and see if I can get a little bit of movement on it. A bit more movement on it. Now these trees are available either as starter bonsai, like these smaller ones, or as actual bonsai in like little bonsai pots, which is pretty cool. They're pretty cool trees. So, and they kind of really are our national flower. Right, I'm taking this off. People are really keen on Kowhai as a bonsai. Now, can I bend it? Even a little bit. I don't think I can bend this piece here, it's just too heavy already, but I can put it on grow it more of an angle. Yeah, that'll work well. I'll let that grow for a little bit. So next time it's repotted, it'll be like that. In fact, what I'll do is I'll just anchor it over right now. I'll just gently wind the wire up, follow the other wire up the trunk, rather than putting it round the trunk, because that will just about every time make a nice big scar in it. It's an easy way of doing this. You can just go like this. Multi-tool. Okay, so if that's going there, that's going here. Then I need to bring my top back forward. I think this will actually eventually be the front here. Yeah. Nice. Here's one that I'm setting up to be more of a cascade. this has already been trained down. You can actually see flower buds setting up all over this. It's going to be totally covered in them. So I'm going to leave that alone until it's flowered because it's going to look spectacular. Now I had a second branch coming down as well, which is also quite nice, but doesn't work very well. I've got that as a cascade, so I have to take that one out. Now I'm not sure what to do here because I do want some sort of top here, but I don't think I want that one, and I don't think I want that one. So I'm going to reduce it right back to here so that it doesn't overtake this bottom piece. So cascades classically have a pad that sits here and sort of covers the edge of the pot. It's an aesthetic thing out of Japan. Cool, that's going to be quite cool. I'll have to make sure this grows a lot faster than this, because that's where the wall of growth is going to go and try and go up here. So I have to get that pretty hard hit. And then I'd like to get all these spread out and down, flattened out like this. Which I could do. Hang on. Okay, let's see what I can do. I have to make sure I get this off in a timely manner. So I really don't want big ugly scars in this bark. I'm going to keep it fairly loose if I can. It's always a trade-off because you get less control when it's loose. This is quite a heavy piece of wire, but I want to try and get some reasonable movement in that first section. So again, there's this natural zigzagging hexagonal pattern in the plant itself. So you kind of have to go with that to some extent. Now I've got to dip down here. It's quite nice, but I'm not sure about this angle here. So I'm going to try for it's going to be quite hard though, almost a concave. Yeah, no, I don't think I can do that. Not without damaging the tree. It's better. That's getting better. Right, so I've got a concave dip and a concave dip to here. Now I need another piece of wire. So it doesn't look very pretty having these big loops and things, but it should be easier on the plant. So I'll just follow this other wire down with this one. Yeah, I'll try and remember to show you fellas when it's in flower, which won't be too far away. Just trying to avoid a little shoot at the back there, which seems to be right in the path of my wire. You can see what I'm doing, probably not. It's got a strange sort of flattened stem thing going on there. Not sure what it's about, but it's nice and healthy and dark green, so I'm not going to worry about it. So I kind of want to, if I'm developing a pattern of this sort of form, I want to carry on doing that as much as possible. But I'd also like it to vary, and also in some ways I want the form, the pattern, to become more exaggerated as it descends. I'm just trying to get the branches to either side. So right down the bottom here, I'm going to make it quite exaggerated. And I'm going to bring it up a bit too, because I want to make sure there's growth and light and everything happening down there. Now, we go back this way and back up to the stem here, and then down again. Okay, so it's getting there, but now I need some more sort of macro forming, so more of an overall shape, or a bigger bending. Now, right now, it is very straight. So you can see the little flower buds. going to bring this one right across here. Might end up losing a branch or two to the back, we'll see. It's starting to look pretty cool. So the front is coming back to the line. So it's whether it's displayed from which side really. I usually like them to, so you can see the trunk, and then the bottom comes around to present. I need to pull these back over here. As much as possible, I'm trying to make sure the leaves come back up to the right way up. You think of leaves as solar panels, and they've been basically, the trees invested these leaves to face a certain way where the light is, to get as much energy as it can out of the tree, out of the light, I should say, for the tree. And if you go and turn them all upside down or face them in the wrong way, then the tree is only going to be working at half power, or it's going to have to reset everything to get that energy out of the sun again. So I've got this nice spread here, which I'm quite reasonably happy with. This one here, which is in the front, which I can bring down here, which looks a bit weird, or I keep it up higher. And I've still got this one here, which I'll probably bring. Oh, that one goes there. That's right. So I'll probably thin these out in time, but they're pretty good. You got a wide space, getting shorter, which is what you want. That gives you that lovely fractal growth pattern. This one here is a little bit long, but that's alright. I think I'll just tuck it back there. There we go, that's better. Tucks it at the back. Cool. Pretty happy with that. So I'll get a picture of this when it's flowering and chuck it up on the email newsletter I'm creating, which you can subscribe to on Bonsai. And if you get it on there within the next 2.5 months, you will be in to win a tree, a beautiful trident maple tree. Okay, one more. This one I'm going to approach a bit differently. I am going to, so this is basically a juvenile form of a macrophylla, which is like the South Island Kowhai. So there's a macrophylla, which is I think largely South Island one. There's a Tetraptera, which is like a coarser, bigger leafed one. There's one out on the Chatham Islands, which is yeah, again much bigger. Like these leaves here are like this big. Chatham Island ones, these bits, these little bipinnate leaflets are more like this long, and they are quite nice, sort of very browny, olivey colours. I will be working with those two. So you can see here, this has been chopped a few times here and here and here and here, just to try to keep the branches pulled back in. So it's developing really nicely. Now, it is as I said, it's a juvenile form of the microphylla, so it's a divaricating habit, which a lot of our native plants have, especially when they're juvenile, when they are young, juvenile. And then it breaks out of that at about 1.5, 2 metres high, 2.5 metres high, which is basically above the height of the moa, which was this giant flightless bird that lived in New Zealand. Well, there was actually, I think, 7 or 9 different species of them or something. And the biggest ones were, geez, I don't know, they were massive. They were 2+ metres at the shoulder, which is crazy. So what I'm going to do is go over this tree very quickly and take out, so what I'm looking for is big trunk, bigger branches, smaller. So I don't want anything big further out in the tree. So for instance here, and in the top I'm going to be quite hard on it because I don't want the growth going off too big up in the top. So I want to get rid of all this big stuff that's too close in. I'm always looking for shoots that are pushing to the outside, and I'll do a little bit of decluttering as we go, so where there's more than one branch where it doesn't need to be. So the divaricating habit is the branches, rather than growing out, they just make a big mess, which basically means that the moa who's coming along trying to eat, it just hits branches, and that's what they ended up doing, was eating lots and lots of twiggy, fibrous branches and things, but it protected their leaves to some extent anyway. So I'm not looking for like endpoint form at this stage. I'm just bringing it back to a rough approximation of where I think the tree should be going. And it'll have its own ideas about that, and it'll grow a whole lot more shoots, and I'll just keep chopping them back, and over time I will be directing them out into more of a classic tree form. I don't know whether it will break out of this juvenile form if I'm doing this to it or not. It might just stay in it. We shall see. So that is pretty much all I am going to do. Got quite a heavy branch here, which doesn't need to be that heavy, so I will reduce it by taking out that and that. It's got pretty good branch placement otherwise. Okay, so if I do that to it 2 or 3 times a year for 5 years, I should get a trunk that's like this big, and I should get a tree that's about that size. And I'd rather not have to wire it, but I may have to like put anchors in and pull some of these down, like this one, which I will do right now. I'm going to put it straight over that old scar. So that's something to be aware of these trees. I'll zoom in for you. They do scar up fairly ugly. They don't, yeah, they're thin-skinned and they kind of, you chop them and they die back around the wound. But that's all right, in time that'll go. Okay. Leave that one. That one I'll bring, see there's a split there, but it's healing over. Be careful with it though, I'll just leave it. Yeah, it's quite a cool tree, it will be. One more thing, this is a very heavy branch this high in the tree. As is this one here. Okay, we're good. Okay, last tree. This is a prostrate one. I keep saying prostate, but it's not a prostate tree, it's a prostrate tree. Now it forms a incredibly dense, jumbled cushion that you could like just jump on and pretty much bounce on. And prostrate, which means it grows pretty much along the ground or builds up slowly from the ground, and it stays in this jumbled form. I'll show you a picture of one that belongs to my sister-in-law, which is awesome. Check out this Kowhai. It's a beast. It's got an amazing chicken wire form. Even a little wee flower. Tiny flower. Now, what do you do with this thing? Well, this one I am attempting to grow as a bonsai. However, it has its own ideas about that. So I don't know, I'm trying to do a deal with the tree and to see what we can come up with together. So I'm gently directing it and it's basically telling me to bugger off and doing what it wants to do. I have some other ideas of how these might be approached, which I will be working on. I've put down a stack of cuttings and I want to do a whole pile of them. One idea I have is to grow them just to show off this jumble. So I'm imagining quite a gnarly stem, which then branches out into a dense canopy of this stuff. And another thing I've seen, because I've seen hedges made out of variegating plants, not necessarily the Kowhai, and people chop them square, so you end up with a stem coming up into this squared off mass, which looks surprisingly really cool. So I'll try and I'll try that with them, I think. Not this one. This one I'm going to grow as a bonsai and see if I can. But like I said, it's not really cooperating. Just keep chopping away at it. So really that just means keeping it light and yeah. So anyway, they're very bendy, you can pretty much do anything I want with it. Right, well I'm going to go and chuck a pile of these cuttings in so that when you guys come to my website you can buy ready to go little starters. And like I said, this one grows really fast, so you can actually have a really nice tree in about 5 years. Cool, catch you later. So just to reiterate, these trees are available in their various stages of growth on my website, Bonsai. You can also sign up to my tutorials, which I will be teaching you how to do all these various processes on these trees to create awesome bonsai. So you can take one that's like a starter that's already got its basic shape, or a simple cutting, and do anything you want to it, and it's nice and bendy. Something a bit older, or even a ready to go one in full flower in a few months' time. Kia ora, catch you next time. Bonsai.